Okay, what I'm going to be making are Thai turkey meatballs. And it's basically a 2-serving dish, very quick to make, and minimal ingredients. So first of all, we're going to start with a 1/2 pound of ground turkey, a 1/2 cup of diced green and white onion, which is about a 1/4 cup of each. And then we have about 2 to 2.5 ounces, which is close to a 1/4 cup of breadcrumbs, and those are seasoned. And then we have cilantro here, and for that we have 1 tablespoon. We have sweet chili sauce, and that is 1 tablespoon also. And then this here is lemon juice, and that's about 1.5 teaspoons. And then we have coriander seed. Now we have these are seeds, and I crushed these myself. I'm only using about 1/4 teaspoon. If you have powder, coriander powder, you would use 1 teaspoon. And you do want to measure that exact because it is strong. It's a little stronger than cilantro. It's off the leaf of the cilantro. It's actually the seed part, and then the cilantro has a similar taste, just a lot milder. And then also, excuse me, for your turkey meat, you're going to want to use black pepper and then seasoning salt or some other type of salt to season that with. And that's optional, but I will be seasoning my turkey, and I'm just going to do that by eye. I'm not going to measure that out. You can season your ground turkey how you normally do, but you do need these additional ingredients. So we'll go ahead and get started. And then for your pan that you're going to cook these in, it will be stovetop. You're going to want to spray your skillet or put a little bit of oil in there, as ground turkey is very dry. You can also use ground chicken for this as well. I don't recommend beef, but because these ingredients are going to go better with chicken or ground turkey. Okay, now this is pretty simple. Basically, all you're going to do is just mix your ingredients together. I'm going to start with my salt, and I'm just using a kosher salt. Then I'm going to heat it up with a little bit of pepper. And this is a red and black pepper blend. And I'm going to kind of mix that up a little bit. Make sure it's in there mixed up good. That's the main thing. And again, this is just enough meat for 2 servings. So go ahead and put in our onion and bell pepper, our cilantro, and this is going to have a strong cilantro taste, as you can see. So if you're not a cilantro fan, I don't recommend this. Our crushed coriander seed, our lemon juice. Okay, now at this point, I'm going to go ahead and mix this around. And the bell pepper, you don't really have to go with a 1/4 cup of the bell pepper if you don't want to. It actually does not call for bell pepper, but I like bell pepper seasoned into my meat, particularly ground turkey and chicken, because it doesn't have the fat throughout it, which gives it more flavor, as in your ground beef or your chucks. So it does add for additional flavor, and besides that, it's good for you. Okay, so we have that mixed up. I'm going to add a little bit more salt. Okay. And that was probably close to, had to change my battery there, but as far as the salt, that was pretty much about a 1/4 teaspoon of salt that I put in there. So now I'm going to add my seasoned breadcrumbs. If you don't have seasoned, you can use plain. However, they won't offer much flavor. Okay. And one little tip I have for this, if you don't have breadcrumbs, you can always put crackers in a food processor, or you can also use Chex Mix. They make good breadcrumbs also. A lot of people don't know that. Okay. So we'll go ahead and get our little sweetened chili sauce out there. And your chili sauce, you can use that also as a dip for the Thai turkey meatballs. And I'll also be making another type of a dip that I used as a lobster dip that entails rice vinegar, rice wine vinegar, soy sauce, and chili sauce also. I'll be making that as a dipping sauce for the meatballs, or a glaze per se. It doesn't have to really be a dip, but as a glaze or a sauce. But the latter one I just mentioned is pretty salty, so I don't know if I'll probably just glaze a few of those with that. But since it is Thai, that'll give it more of that type of a flavor. Okay, so we'll go ahead and make these into meatballs now. And I have my skillet heating up, so I can go ahead and get those into a hot skillet, and you're just going to want to turn them and put a lid on it on each side for, I'd say, about a minute and a half per side, so you get all of the flavors through the meatballs. And then also you want to make sure they're done all the way through. So about a minute and a half, just kind of turn them, or you can do about 10 minutes per side, and then flip them, and then just have the lid on there at all times. See you back in a minute. Just a helpful hint for weighing out your meatballs. Since I'm doing half a pound, which is 8 ounces, basically all you're going to want to do is if you can use a food scale, that's the best way. Otherwise you're going to have to eye everything out. And basically I just get a ball of meat and just put it on there. That's 1.3. We'll take a little bit out. These are going to be about 1.1 ounces per meatball, and that way we get pretty close to 7 or 8. Try to get 8 of these so we can do 4 per serving. If you want to go 2 ounces per meatball, they'll be a lot bigger, but you will you'll only get 4 of those. So keep that in mind. They'll be a lot bigger, but you only get 4. If you go around 1, you'll get double that, which should be about 8 meatballs. And it could be a little bit more because you do have your filler of your breadcrumbs in there and then your other ingredients. So always keep that in mind. Okay, and here are the meatballs, and as you can see, there was enough meat for more than 2 servings. This is actually can be 3. These here are all 1.1 ounce, and then these here are 1 ounce. So it's enough for 3 servings actually. These here will be a little bit smaller, of course. So therefore, when you do make meatballs, keep in mind with the fillers, you'll always have room for a few more. Alright, so we'll go ahead and get these into our preheated skillet. And like I say, you want to cook these. If you don't want to flip them on all sides, that's fine. Just do them for about 10 minutes per side, and just use your judgment as to the tenderness you want and the normal time you usually cook meatballs. Keep in mind these are turkey, so make sure they're cooked throughout. They will be a lot softer than your normal beef meatball. Okay, and basically we're just gonna get these in there. Skillet is nice and hot. And we have that oil on there. As you can see, I just used some cooking spray. So you can coat that. That way they won't stick. Again, these are turkey. They don't have much fat in there, so I think it's 85-15. So you do want that oil in there. Keep in mind when you're making meatballs, line your counter with wax paper, makes for easy cleanup. And if you keep your hands wet when you're making them, it makes for less mess, as you can see also. Even though I've washed my hands, they didn't have hardly anything stuck to them. Okay, so we'll go ahead and put our lid on these. About 10 minutes, flip them over, another 10, and they're done. In the meantime, we'll go ahead and make the sauce that I'm going to use for these. Okay, for the first sauce, we're basically going to just use a small amount of soy. And that's just regular soy sauce. You can use light if you'd like. Rice vinegar. You want to use very little of that. And then our sweet chili sauce. And this is what I'm going to brush the meat, or going to use it as a glaze, kind of there. And kind of like so. Actually, I'm going to make a little bit more of that, because when you brush that on those meatballs, it kind of, it's a little thicker than it looks here, and it'll get used up quite fast. Okay, let's see. So we'll go ahead and add a little bit more chili sauce, and that's really good. You have a sweet Asian tanginess going on there. Okay, so this is our first sauce there, and as you can see, that's how that looks. It tastes similar to a kicked up soy sauce. And then for the second one, I'm going to do regular sweet chili sauce. Use quite a bit of that there. And these little condiment cups here, you can get those at Walmart. Usually like 3 for $1.98 or so. And then I'm also, excuse me, going to add a little bit of hot wing sauce to this. Make it a little spicy. Okay, just a little concoction I thought of. Sweet with hot, usually a good combination. Okay, so here we have 2 different sauces, or you can just eat those plainly seasoned as such. Okay, so we have our 2 dipping sauces or spreadable sauces. Now we'll go back and check our meatballs. Okay, so we'll go ahead and check our meatballs here now. Okay, and we're just going to turn each of these. They're very soft, so I think I'm going to have to turn these. There we go. Yep, just turn these very carefully. As you can see, they're very soft. That's because they're turkey and they have that filler in there, and they're very moist. Also could probably turn the heat up a little more on those. Okay, so they're nice and brown as we want them. And if they tear up a little bit, just kind of push them back together and they'll be fine. Oops. That one there split on us, but that's alright. I can fix it. Okay. So basically you can get these turned over. And we'll come back and check them when they're done on the other side, and then we should be able to take them out. Okay, here are the finished products. Here we have 3, 6, 9, 12, and as you can see they stayed pretty uniform. They're not perfectly round, but that's alright. And what I'm going to do now is brush our sauces on here. This is our buffalo chili sauce. I'm just going to put a little bit of this on each side, and then what we're going to do is put these in the oven, and these will be good. They're great as appetizers. They can also go with rice. Personally, I'm going to be doing mine with my curry cauliflower, actually, and that will be my dish. One dish meal. Okay, and then I'll get my other brush and brush our rice vinegar, soy, sweet chili sauce on these here. That makes a beautiful glaze there. And when you put these in the oven to warm up, you don't need a lid or cover foil on top of them. You're just going to put them in there just to kind of let the sauce cook in. And then basically you're just going to want to flip these and do the other side. And I suggest cooling these for about 10 minutes before putting the sauce on there. Cool those off a little bit, and it makes them stay together more. Yeah, the ground turkey and ground chicken is very soft when you cook it. So if they're coming apart as you're turning them in the stove, just let them cool a little bit and then turn them, and they'll be fine. And you can also kind of piece them back together once they're cool, and you can handle them by hand. You can piece them back together and they'll be just fine. That's what I did on a few of these that you saw tear up. As you can see, that made just enough sauce, and we'll just pour the rest over those. Okay, so we're done with our soy sauce, rice wine vinegar, sweet chili sauce. We're done with that one. And then we'll go ahead and finish with our buffalo sweet chili sauce on these here. And that way you don't have to dip these, because these are, the texture of these, they would probably tear up if you go to dip in these. So kind of glad we did go ahead and spread these on there, the sauce at least. And then you're just going to want to put these in the oven, about a 350 preheated oven, for about 5 minutes. That's it. No flipping or anything. Alright, and we'll come back and see the finished product when I have these dished up with an accompanying side. See you then. And here is the finished product. We have our Thai meatballs with 2 different sauces on them. And then we have our curry cauliflower and a yeast roll. And this makes for a small dinner or a great lunch. There you have it. Go check it out.